Like, how could you ever sell Infiniminer? Like, how could you sell a game? Like, that would never make money, right?
This is Zach Barth. He's made a plethora of educational games, including the one that Minecraft copied. But how did Mojang make billions of dollars from this idea, while Zach never received a penny? To answer this question, we're going back to 2009 to find out what happened with the original game. Zach worked as a game developer at Microsoft and made Flash games in his spare time. To test some new technology, he came up with a game called Infiniminer, where you mine and place blocks with the goal of finding ores. When his wife went on vacation for a week, he took that opportunity to develop most of the game. After getting his friend Chris to help with the art style, and spending a couple months polishing the game, they launched Infiniminer in April 2009. You get a randomly generated world made of dirt, stone, ores, and lava, the goal being to mine ores and bring them up to the surface. If you fall off the map, you'll be killed by the void. Sound familiar? The gameplay loop, block types, and visuals in Infiniminer would make up the core of Minecraft. So people were enjoying Infiniminer, but not in the way Zach expected. He designed Infiniminer as a competitive multiplayer game, with classes like Team Fortress 2. But the player base decided that it was more fun to casually build stuff. Zach had mixed feelings about people not playing Infiniminer the way he intended. It felt like he was losing control over the vision he had for the game. What he didn't realize is that he was about to lose even more control. Less than a month after the launch of Infiniminer, disaster struck. Zach forgot to obfuscate his game's code, which basically prevents people from understanding it or changing it. As a result, the source code of Infiniminer had leaked. A source code leak is a game developer's worst nightmare, because people can modify the game to become something completely different. Different versions of the game started to appear, which undermines Zach's vision for Infiniminer even further. But the much bigger problem came from hackers who exploited the game's vulnerabilities. Zach had completely lost control of his game, and decided to cease development on it altogether. But one of its players decided to pick up where he left off. A game developer called Notch witnessed what happened to Infiniminer and started working on a clone. Not kidding, he literally called his project a clone of Infiniminer. Since he had an inside perspective of the Infiniminer situation, he understood how fun it was for players to build stuff with blocks. So his version was going to embrace this desire and encourage it. Notch realized the potential of a game like this, but it's understandable that Zach didn't. He was reeling from what happened with Infiniminer, so it would be tough to go back and keep working on it. Throughout this video, you'll see how much the stories of Notch and Zach would begin to overlap. It's honestly pretty striking, even if they had different levels of success. Within a week, Notch made his version available to the public, which was called Cave Game. Cave Game was made entirely of block types featured in Infiniminer, except that dirt on the surface became grass. I believe releasing his first build publicly was the absolute key to his game's success, and this is for two reasons. First, he constantly gets feedback from his players on how to make the game better. Other developers would spend years on their game, just for it to flop because it's not what people wanted it to be. It's very important to match the player's expectations, or they just won't play the game anymore. I've had this work the same way for some of my YouTube videos, where I make it one way and people click off because they expected it to be another way. The other reason for Minecraft's success was that he charged for access to pre-release versions of the game. So if Minecraft were to start gaining traction and make some early sales, it could give Notch enough income to drop his day job and work on Minecraft full time. The next version, called Minecraft Classic, added water, a couple more block types, and trees that you could grow with saplings. You would also start to see hills and lakes, so the terrain looks more like what we see today. It's very impressive that Notch developed a version of Minecraft that has all the necessities within the same month that Infiniminer shut down. Each new version of Minecraft implemented one key feature at a time. Adding multiplayer filled in the last piece that it took from Infiniminer. Then a bunch of mobs were added, like zombies that attack you or sheep that, well, don't. Finally, you could craft tools or objects that help you survive. With every update, Minecraft began to distance itself from Infiniminer to the point where it wasn't perceived as a clone anymore. Speaking of Infiniminer, let's check in on Zach. Fortunately, he recovered from the Infiniminer experience and started developing his next game in early 2010. Zach had rediscovered his passion for game development, so much that he set a goal for going full-time. But in order to achieve this, he had to move past the belief that it was wrong to charge for his games. So to make something that he felt was worth charging for, he spent the entirety of 2010 working on his next product. Notch achieved his goal of going full-time in May 2010, and by June, 20,000 people had paid for an early version of Minecraft. This gave him enough money to start hiring his former colleagues. People hate the idea of working 9 to 5, but it has its benefits. The connections that Notch made at his day job gave him people that he could trust. If he had to hire people he didn't know, some of them wouldn't work out, and Minecraft's development process would get thrown off. When Minecraft launched its alpha version, it really began to take off, reaching 100,000 sales on September 2nd. This is when Mojang started rounding out the secondary features of Minecraft, like the nether, biomes, and redstone. Notch's motivation grew proportional to his sales, so much that he committed to weekly updates. The price of Minecraft increased with its quality, going up to $18 when Minecraft entered its beta in December. On New Year's Day in 2011, it was time for another game to take off, because Zach had launched his best title yet, Spacechem. Spacechem featured a rare combination of puzzle solving, educational value, and storytelling. He set a goal to make $100,000 from Spacechem before going full-time, and smashed it. Then he was like, actually let's go for $300K, and smashed that too. After making over $1 million on his first paid game, he was ready to quit his job at Microsoft and start his company called Zachtronics. At this point, Minecraft had sold 1 million copies. This game was rolling like a snowball, but it was still missing something. Remember, the primary thing people wanted to do in Minecraft was build stuff, but in its current state, you had to work your butt off gathering resources if you wanted to build anything significant. If Minecraft was going to remove all its limitations, it needed a mode where you can have anything you want. Whether it's a chest full of diamonds, invincibility, or the power to fly, creative mode made it so anything was possible in Minecraft. This core feature was added only 2 months before Minecraft was ready for takeoff. In November 2011, Minecraft beta reached 4 million sales, and Notch held a convention to officially launch the game from beta into 1.0. With the official launch of Minecraft, the game kept getting more and more popular, but with great success comes a great amount of media attention. Everything wrong with Minecraft or Notch would get put under a microscope, which was exhausting to deal with. When this was combined with some troubling events in his personal life, his mental state began to decline. Notch wasn't the only one who was negatively impacted by the rise of Minecraft. Zach was constantly reminded of Minecraft's existence and how it could have been him who made the game. But I don't think there's a reasonable way that Zach would have created Minecraft. He would have to be inhuman to suffer from a source code leak, then go back to Infiniminer and spend several years working on it. Even so, Zach kept hearing about Minecraft from his family, or people online, or seeing Minecraft merch at stores, so this was not something that he could get away from. I've been through a similar experience, and it sucks when you can't distance yourself from something that caused you emotional trauma. But over time, being forced to confront these feelings made me stronger, and that's how it went for Zach as well. In 2014, the media attention outweighed Notch's desire to keep working on Minecraft, so he sold his majority share of Mojang for $2.5 billion. Ironically, the company that bought Minecraft was the same one that Zach had worked for. But according to Zach, this actually helped him resolve his feelings about Minecraft, because he realized that his idea made such a massive impact on gaming, even if he wasn't the one profiting from it. Both Notch and Zach struggled in 2015. Notch was making tweets where he vented about his loneliness, while Zachtronics was struggling to make another game that succeeded like Spacechem. So Zach put his company on the back burner and started working for Valve. Both of them continued working on indie games in their spare time, but it was no longer their top priority. Zach left his job at Valve after 10 months and sold Zachtronics to a publisher called Alliance Media Holdings. But he still worked on the games and kept creative control. Meanwhile, Notch continued to spiral on Twitter, and his tweets became more controversial. He hasn't released a complete game since he left Mojang. Personally, I think if Notch had continued publishing games, it would help him deal with his emotions. He would have more social interaction with a team of game developers, and it would restore his sense of purpose. Zach received fulfillment with each new game he published, and these accomplishments helped him feel better about the past. In July 2022, Zachtronics published its final game, fittingly titled Last Call. Members of the team wanted to follow different paths going forward, so they closed down the company on good terms. Although Notch had more material success, Zach had more of a happy ending because he stayed true to himself and saw his vision through to the end.